Sophia Chen had faked her own death 6 years ago, and now her daughters were walking straight toward her. The pristine marble floors of Singapore Changi Airport seemed to tilt beneath her Louboutin heels as Sophia's breath caught in her throat. At 42, the tech billionaire had conquered Silicon Valley, built a clean energy empire spanning 3 continents, and graced the cover of Forbes twice, yet nothing had prepared her for this moment. Her ex-husband David stood 20 feet away, holding the hands of their twin daughters, Emma and Olivia, now 12 years old, the girls whose funeral she had watched from behind dark sunglasses, the family she had sacrificed everything to protect. If they recognized her now, the dangerous charade that had kept them alive would collapse instantly, putting all their lives at risk once again. "Ms. Zhang, your private jet is ready," whispered her assistant, using the identity Sophia had adopted after the accident. But Sophia couldn't move. Her eyes locked with David's across the terminal, and for a heartbeat, recognition flickered in his expression. The twins were chattering excitedly, oblivious to the woman frozen in place, the mother who had missed their first day of middle school, their piano recitals, the gap in Emma's smile when she lost her front teeth. Sophia's fingers trembled around her passport. 6 years of meticulous planning, of building a new life while dismantling the threat that had forced her to disappear, all of it balanced on the edge of a knife. She had 15 seconds to decide, turn away and preserve their safety, or risk everything for the chance to hold her daughters again. The memory of that terrible night crashed over her like a wave, the warning call. The photos of her family in crosshairs, the FBI agent explaining that the cartel would execute her entire family unless she disappeared, completely punishment for her company's cooperation in a massive money laundering investigation. Your testimony put away their leadership, Ms. Chen, but their reach extends everywhere. Your family's only chance is if they believe you're dead too. She had 48 hours to vanish, leaving behind no trace of connection to her loved ones. David had been told only that there was credible evidence she had died in the yacht explosion. The twins were too young to understand. The pain in her chest as she watched their small figures at her memorial service had nearly killed her for real. Now David was guiding the twins toward the gate adjacent to hers. Sophia pulled her wide-brimmed hat lower and turned slightly away, heart hammering against her ribs. Emma, it had to be Emma with that determined walk, was wearing a science camp t-shirt. Olivia had their grandmother's jade pendant around her neck, the one Sophia had left in her jewelry box for her daughters to find someday. They were so tall now, their faces losing the roundness of childhood. Did they still remember her voice? Did they hate her for leaving? The questions burned in her throat. "Excuse me," said a soft voice beside her. Sophia turned to find Emma standing there, looking up with curious eyes. "I think you dropped this." The girl held out Sophia's boarding pass, which had fallen from her trembling hands. "Thank you," Sophia whispered, her voice barely audible as she accepted the card. Their fingers brushed, and it took every ounce of willpower not to pull her daughter into her arms. Emma tilted her head slightly, studying Sophia's face with an intensity that made her wonder if some primal recognition was stirring in her daughter's mind. "You're welcome," Emma replied. "You look familiar. Do I know you from somewhere?" Before Sophia could answer, David called out, "Emma, come on, we're boarding now." He was looking directly at Sophia now, his brow furrowed in confusion. The distance between them seemed both infinite and microscopic. 6 years of separate lives, of birthdays and Christmases and nightmares alone. 6 years of Sophia building her new company with the sole purpose of gaining enough power and resources to finally eliminate the threat against her family. She had succeeded. Just 3 days ago, the last member of the cartel's leadership had been arrested in a coordinated international operation. She was flying to Zurich to meet with the FBI handler who had helped orchestrate her disappearance. The meeting that would finally begin the process of reclaiming her life. "Coming, Dad," Emma called back, but she lingered a moment longer. "You have nice eyes," she said to Sophia. "They look sad, though." Sophia's composure nearly shattered. "Sometimes sad things happen," she managed to say, "but that doesn't mean the story is over." Emma nodded solemnly. "My mom used to say something like that, before she died. Then she turned and ran back to her father and sister, leaving Sophia rooted to the spot, tears threatening to spill over. The airport announcement system chimed. Final boarding call for flight SQ317 to Zurich. Sophia watched as her family joined the line for their flight to London. This wasn't how she had planned their reunion. There were legal processes to navigate, explanations to be made, trauma to be addressed. The FBI had outlined a careful reintegration protocol. Appearing suddenly at an airport could shatter the delicate psychological balance her children had established. And yet her phone vibrated with a text from her security team. Area secure. No threats detected. The message she had been waiting 6 years to receive. The confirmation that it was finally safe. Sophia made her decision. Instead of walking toward her gate, she moved toward the family she had lost. David saw her approaching and stiffened, instinctively pulling the girls closer. The protective gesture made her love him even more, despite everything that had come between them. "David," she said quietly when she reached them, "it's me." His face drained of color, the boarding pass slipped from his fingers. "That's not possible," he whispered. "You're not dead," Sophia finished. "And I can explain everything, but not here." She glanced meaningfully at the twins, who were watching the exchange with confusion. "I never stopped loving you, any of you, and I'm finally able to come home if you'll let me." The loudspeaker announced the final boarding call for their London flight. David looked from Sophia to their daughters and back again, his expression cycling through shock, disbelief, anger, and something else, a flicker of the love they had once shared. "Girls," he said, his voice unsteady, "there's been a change of plans." 4 hours later, in a private suite at the airport hotel, Sophia finished telling David everything while the twins slept in the adjoining room. The threat, the protection program, the years of working secretly to dismantle the cartel while building a new identity powerful enough to ensure their safety. The moment 3 days ago when she'd received confirmation that it was finally over. "You could have told me," David said, his voice raw with emotion. "We could have gone into protection together." Sophia shook her head. "They were watching you, all of you. If there had been any hint that you knew I was alive, they would have used you to get to me." She reached for his hand across the table. "I made the only choice I could to keep you safe." David didn't pull away, but he didn't squeeze back either. 6 years, Sophia. 6 years of grieving you, of raising our daughters to honor your memory, of telling them stories about their mother so they wouldn't forget you. His eyes glistened. "Do you have any idea what that was like?" "No," she admitted. "Just as you can't imagine what it was like to watch from a distance as you all mourned me. To see pictures of the twins growing up on social media accounts I had to hack into because I couldn't risk following you openly." She took a shaky breath. "I missed everything, David, everything that mattered." A sound from the doorway made them both turn. Emma and Olivia stood there in their pajamas, eyes wide and uncertain. "Dad," Olivia said, "who is she really? Why are you crying?" David looked at Sophia, a silent question in his eyes. She nodded slightly. "It was time, girls," he said gently. "Come sit down. There's something impossible and wonderful I need to tell you." The morning sun streamed through the hotel windows as Sophia sat on the edge of the bed, watching her daughters sleep. They had talked until dawn, questions and tears and cautious embraces giving way to exhaustion. The twins had fallen asleep holding her hands, as if afraid she might disappear again if they let go. David entered with coffee and sat beside her. "They look peaceful," he said quietly. "They're extraordinary," Sophia replied. "You did an amazing job with them. They're resilient like their mother." He handed her a cup. "I'm still angry, you know. Part of me wants to shake you for what you put us through. I know." She met his gaze steadily. "I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to all of you, if you'll let me." "The rest of your life?" he repeated. "That's a long time, Sophia." She smiled sadly. "Not long enough to recover everything we lost." David was quiet for a moment. "Maybe not, but maybe long enough to build something new." He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, a gesture so familiar it made her heart ache. I never remarried, you know. Never even came close. I saw, she admitted. I kept tabs on you, not just for safety. That's a little creepy, he said, but there was a hint of a smile on his lips. I prefer devoted, she countered. Emma stirred and opened her eyes, blinking at Sophia as if to confirm she wasn't dreaming. You're still here, she whispered. I'm still here, Sophia promised, and I'm never leaving again. Olivia woke next, immediately sitting up. I remember now, she said suddenly. You used to sing to us in Mandarin when we couldn't sleep, about the moon watching over travelers. Sophia's breath caught. You remember that? I thought it was just a dream, Olivia said, but it was you. The family spent the day together in their suite, ordering room service and beginning the delicate process of reconnection. There were difficult moments, Olivia's sudden anger, Emma's quiet questions about why Sophia hadn't found another way, David's periods of distant silence. But there were also moments of joy, discovering shared mannerisms, laughing over the twins' stories, the gradual relaxation of boundaries as they remembered how to be a family. That evening, as they prepared to board a new flight, all four of them together, Sophia received a final message from her FBI handler. Reintegration approved, new identities unnecessary. Welcome back to your life, Ms. Chen. She showed the message to David, who read it and then looked up at her with eyes that held both caution and hope. So what happens now? He asked. Now we take it one day at a time. She said, I have resources, David, more than we could ever need. We can live anywhere, do anything, but all I want is to be with you three. He took her hand, and this time he didn't let go. The girls start school again in 3 weeks. Then we have 3 weeks to figure out our next chapter, she said. As they walked toward their gate, Emma and Olivia ran ahead, their earlier caution giving way to excitement about the adventure. David and Sophia followed more slowly, their hands still linked. I never stopped loving you, he said quietly. Even when I thought you were gone. Even when I was angriest at you for leaving us. I never stopped loving you either, she replied. It was the only thing that kept me going, knowing that someday, if I did everything right, I might find my way back to you. He stopped walking and turned to face her. Promise me something, Sophia. No more secrets. No more sacrifices that tear us apart, even for the right reasons. Whatever comes next, we face it together. I promise. She said, and sealed it with a kiss that held 6 years of longing and the promise of a future reclaimed. As they boarded the plane as a family, broken and healing, but together at last, Sophia knew that their story was far from over. There would be challenges ahead, legal complications, emotional adjustments, the watchful eyes of the media when news broke of her resurrection. But for the first time in 6 years, she was facing the future with hope instead of fear. If this story of sacrifice, separation, and reunion touched your heart, remember that second chances sometimes arrive when we least expect them. Life's most beautiful moments often come after our greatest challenges. Share this message with someone who needs to hear that even the most impossible distances can be bridged by love and courage.